Hello and welcome back to Home Somewhere Else. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after they were at the school saying hello or something to Tony, and they ran into what's his face? Toto. And Toto obviously recognizes Chad, and he was acting a little weird in front of Fred and Jenny, and he leaned up to Chad, telling him like, "Oh, hey, like I did a good job or something, like, right?" Um, which was a little weird, obviously. So I suppose we're about to find out what that meant. But yeah, so I guess without further ado, let us continue home somewhere else. Oh my God, are you? You nearly jump out of your fur when the voice suddenly pierces through the calm ambience of the sea. Immediately, countless thoughts speed through your mind, but most prominently is an overwhelming desire to not be here anymore. There's no way. Chad? You flinch as you hear your name in this stranger's voice. Against your better judgment, you look over your shoulder at them, and your heart plummets as you recognize them. He's a lot skinnier, and his features are decidedly more mature now, but this stranger is unquestionably Toto. His eyes shimmer with forming tears as he stares at you. You're Chad, right? Chad Harmon? Never heard of him. You've got the wrong guy. You turn your head back towards the sea, letting out a quiet sigh under your breath, convinced that that was all you needed to do to get out of the situation. Unfortunately, things are never that easy. No, no way. You have to be Chad. I've only ever known one Doberman with tusks. You can hear his footsteps as he walks closer. I can't believe it's really you, Chad. Where have you been? It's been 10 years. A part of you wants to keep denying it, but when you look back at him, that twinkle in his eyes is enough for you to know that your chances of getting away with this ruse are slim to none. So instead, you opt to remain silent. What are you even supposed to say? After several moments, he sniffles, wiping his sleeve across his eyes to dry up the tears, and when he looks back at you, he flashes you a warm smile. It's almost pitying, actually. Do you not remember me? I'm Toto. We were friends in school way back when, remember? I remember. Yes. His eyes light up even brighter as you give in, and before you know it, he's flung his arms around you. Before you even have a chance to react or shove him off, though, he jumps back, covering his nose with a wince. Oh God, you smell! You answer only with a soft sigh, and his ears droop, a pang of guilt flashing across his face. Sorry. That was really mean. It's just, this is all a lot to take in. Where have you been for 10 years? Everyone thought that you died. Of course he wants to talk. Don't know. Your short, blunt answer gives the Samoyed pause. He stares at you for a bit, scratching at his cheek. Maybe he has amnesia, but he remembers me. You keep staring as his eyes wander away from you, and he mutters to himself, almost seeming to forget that you're there. His ears perk back up suddenly after a few seconds, though, and he looks back at you. Okay, I won't press you on it. Whether or not you do remember, I don't have any right to pry. But let me at least ask what your situation is right now. Based on how you smell, I can't imagine it's very good. Your heart sinks, whether out of despair or exasperation. You're not sure, but you're already so exhausted by this interaction that you don't have it in you to lie. Homeless. His eyes widen in shock as he covers his mouth, stifling a gasp. You think, anyway. No. Oh God, Chad. I'm so sorry. It doesn't matter. His ears droop once more, and he looks away, almost as if he's ashamed. What about a job? Do you at least have a job? You know, anything? What do you think? Even if I tried, nobody would hire me like this. Aw, come on. Don't be like that. I'm sure somebody will. I'm speaking from experience. Oh, well, shit. What am I even supposed to say at a time like this? Um, how about this? You can get back to my place for a shower, and I can wash your clothes. Then I'll take you out for lunch, maybe. It's the least that I can do, you know? The offer catches you off guard. It seems genuine, but for some reason, being seen as a charity case puts a bad taste in your mouth. It's strangely frustrating. I'm fine. You turn your attention back to the sea. It was nice seeing you again, Toto. Whoa, hey, don't be like that. He thrusts himself in front of you, staring down at you with wide, shocked eyes. I'm just trying to help you, Chad. Why would you turn this down? It can literally only benefit you. Because I don't need your pity. You spit the words with an amount of venom that feels wildly unnatural to you, but in the heat of the moment, that strangeness barely registers. He flinches in response, then deflates a bit, his ears drooping. It's not pity, though. A lack of any further response from you seems to deliver the message, and he slowly disappears back out of your vision. Some time passes, and you figure the conversation is finally over. You're left with a strange, painful tightness in your chest. Is it regret? Anger? Your emotions have been such a chaotic mess lately that it's hard to tell. A part of you wants to chase after Toto and take him up on his offer. Logic backs that part of you, saying that this is the best chance that you'll get. But then a strange, raging flame flares up and fills you with anger for even considering accepting pity. Which then makes you feel guilty, and so the cycle continues, a downward spiral to the tune of dead silence that you forced yourself on. However, that silence is once again broken by Toto, who apparently hasn't left yet. The suddenness of his voice startles you, your heart racing in your chest as you look over in his direction and see him a short distance away, his back towards you. Yeah, no, he's huge. Just looking at him, I bet he could carry entire trees by himself. Uh-huh. But he's homeless, boss. Can't you find it in your heart to do this one thing for your star employee? Yeah, I know. I'll accept full responsibility. You will? Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll tell him right now, and then I'll be there in a bit to pick up his key. You're the best, boss. Your chest tightens more as he says goodbye and shoves something into his pocket, then spins around and practically skips back over to you, his face absolutely beaming the whole way. So, I have good news. You are officially no longer homeless, nor are you unemployed. What? I just got off the phone with my boss, and after putting in a good word for you, he said that he'd give you a job. And since he rents out a couple of properties on the side, he even said that he'll give you a place to stay so long as you're working for him. What? Oh, come on. Don't look at me like that. This is exciting, Chad. I may not know what happened to you, but you can't tell me that you aren't at least a little stoked. Your old pal Toto came in clutch for you. You have no idea what that means, but your brain isn't even offering any space to attempt to process it. Instead, the gravity of what he is saying is swirling in your mind. Why? Huh? Why what? Why would you do something like that for me without asking? His grin widens, becoming nigh mischievous. It's distressing, actually. Because clearly, you weren't going to accept my help if all I made was offers. And what kind of monster would I have to be to say, oh wow, hey Chad, you've been missing for 10 years and are homeless now? Man, that sucks. Anyway, good talking to you. See you around. That's whack. But this way, you don't have a choice. Okay, well, I suppose you do, but it'll be equally whack to spit in my face like that. And you're definitely not whack, right? Your mouth suddenly feels very dry, and it's hard to swallow. Your hands are shaking. This can't be happening. It must be a dream. But as you squeeze your eyes closed and open them again once more, expecting to see the alley where you've been staying, you find Toto still standing there, beaming at you. You want to punch him as hard as you can possibly can. That alien rage inside of you is at a boiling point. How fucking dare you? I don't need your goddamn charity, you self-righteous scum. These thoughts terrify you. You don't want to feel like this, yet no matter how hard you try, it won't calm down. You who? Earth to Chad? I didn't break you, did I? His voice startles you out of your turmoil, leaving you almost dizzy as your composure slowly returns. Whatever hold that anger had on you seems to have been broken, at least enough for you to be able to think clearly again. I promise this isn't a scam or an MLM or anything. This will be good for you. What's an MLM? It's what this job offer isn't, so don't worry about it. Come on, I'm dying of suspense here, buddy. Okay, I'll do it. Toto nearly leaps for joy, once again lunging at you, smell be damned, and squeezing you tight once more. Hell yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. You briefly consider returning the hug, but once again he parts from you before you can move. Well, come on. Quit looking like such a sourpuss. Let's go. We need to get you cleaned up so that you can meet your new boss. We can stop by my friend's place on the way, too, and let them know you... No. He freezes, confusion replacing the glee on his face. What? Please, don't tell anyone that I'm back. But... Please, Toto. He scans you for a moment, as if he's trying to figure out solely from your expression why you'd make such a request. Whether or not he finds his answer, though, a somber smile replaces the confusion and he nods. All right, not a word, I promise. But, in exchange, I want you to do a teeny, tiny, little thing for me. I doubt that'll be a problem for you, considering your request, so it should be a fair trade. Okay. What do you want me to do? He puts on his sweetest smile, grabbing your hand and giving it a firm squeeze. And then... Stay away from Frederick Kent. Chad? What? Before you know it, you're sailing through the air, mere milliseconds after the pain finally registers in your jaw. You slam into the ground, skidding through the dirt for a bit before coming to rest, dazed and battered. Ow. The whole world spins as you shakily sit back up, using a hand to test your tender jaw, carefully wiggling it back and forth to ensure that it's still where it's supposed to be. Pop, pop, crack. Yep, it's fine. Just stiff. Dead. Just like that. As your vision slowly clears up, the first thing that you see is Bruce stomping over to you, frustration pained across his face. Are you mocking me? He crouches down in front of you to meet you at eye level, his eyes burning with an eerily familiar anger. Or are you so completely incompetent that you always freeze up the moment danger approaches? You gulp nervously, shaking your head. No, I'm sorry. I'm just distracted, thinking about things. Think about it later! Did you even listen to what I told you when you first arrived today? Or should I waste my time repeating it for you? No, it won't happen again. Then repeat it to me. Uh-huh. Repeat what I told you this morning to me, right now. Depending on your accuracy, I will decide whether you are welcomed back on my mountain, or whether you are allowed to leave at all, with all of your bones still intact. You shudder, letting out a shaky breath. He hasn't been this angry since the first time that you came up here with Fred, a fact that even Mothik seems to have picked up on. Both he and Fred follow Bruce over to you, with Fred crouching down next to you to tend to your jaw. Mothik tries to calm Bruce down with a gentle hand on his shoulder and soft pleas to settle down, but his glare remains steadfastly on you. You said... Uh-oh. Now that you've got a good grasp on your Zoma... You flinch as Mothic's voice courses through your mind, and it takes a second for you to realize what he's saying. Once it registers, though, you begin to carefully repeat what he's saying. You said that now that I've got a good grasp on my Zoma, it's time for me to learn how to use it. That today, we'll be sparring so that you can get a good idea of what I know of fighting, since you specifically remember me having bad posture and footwork, and no critical thinking skills whatsoever. And, once you confirmed your suspicions that I suck, the objective was to give me the basics on how to fight and strategize. He remains staring intensely at you, his glare so harsh that you begin to panic, thinking that you or Mothic had forgotten something. Eventually, your silence pays off, and he lets out a sigh, his expression softening somewhat. Just a bit. Good. It is with that in mind, then, that I trust you understand how absolutely infuriating it is for you to not even attempt to block or dodge. In only the first round, you let me kick you straight in the face without even trying. Sorry again, I got a lot on my mind. We all do, Doberman. It is rare that anyone goes into battle with a purely clear head. It is your responsibility to know how to shelve those thoughts aside and focus on the task at hand. Let this be your first, and, at the moment, most important lesson. When you are fighting, Doberman, you are only fighting. Do I make myself clear? Crystal. Good. Now, back on your feet and into position. Try to actually put up a fight this time. Without another word to you, he stands, then turns back to the field. He stops for a moment, leaning in close to Mothic and whispering something into his... ear? Whatever he says, it causes Mothic to flinch, his antenna drooping a bit as he nods solemnly, returning to his position on the sidelines. Fred joins him a moment later, after you shush him off, and take a deep breath before moving back towards the center of the field, opposite of Bruce. Bruce is right. I can worry about Toto later. As much as what he's got going on in his head bothers me, there's more important things to worry about right now. Taking up your position in front of Bruce once more, you put your fists back up and nod towards him. All right, ready. He stares you down for a moment, then without much warning, lunges towards you. Your stance impulsively tightens. As he nears, he draws his arm back, then thrusts it towards your gut. However, the punch was comically telegraphed, so you dodge it easily with a hop to the side. Following through, you throw a punch of your own at his side, but he somehow manages to duck underneath it at the last second. Coming to an abrupt halt straight afterwards, he turns in place by twisting his feet into the dirt, lunging back towards you with a kick aimed straight at your midsection. With no way of possibly dodging it, you do your best to block it with your arm, but the force behind it is too great and it sends you tumbling to the ground yet again. A part of you wants to just accept that as a defeat and give up, but some little voice in your head tells you not to. Following the velocity of your tumble, you inelegantly roll and bounce back to your feet, only having a split second to realize that Bruce is once again mere feet away. His fist slams into your gut, sending you back to the ground, for good this time. Thankfully, this assault ends with that last hit, and he returns to a relaxed posture, staring down at you as you roll over and push yourself up onto your hands and knees. Yep, I suck. Ow. Honestly, you're better than I expected. Wait, what? You look over your shoulder to see him deep in thought. You move incredibly slow and waste so much energy with unnecessary movements. Your motions are telegraphed even more than my own, and I was intentionally doing that. Also, your balance is incredibly poor, so much so that you might have better footwork on crutches, and you're too impulsive. Honestly, you could have countered me 3 separate times during that exchange, and the only option you tried was the worst option. Yet, I did better than you expected. What the hell do you think of me then? You only get points for lasting as long as you did, with what is effectively 0 combat experience to your name. All in all, woefully inadequate, but you aren't hopeless. Whoopee. You let out a long, exasperated sigh before flopping back over onto your back, staring at the sky dejectedly. And I was feeling so good about finally making progress with my Zoma too. Man, this sucks. I suck. On your feet, Doberman. You let out a groan but comply, standing back up and dusting yourself off. I have a good idea of what we need to focus on now, but I'd like to go a few more rounds, just to feel you out. Are you flirting with me? The slightest twitch of a smile and a laugh creep up at your joke, but the death glare from the tiger quickly banishes them back deep down inside of you. I want you to pay attention to how I move. From here forward, I am going to make an effort to explain what you're doing wrong each time we exchange blows. Then, assuming that you are capable of listening to and following advice, by the end of the day you should be capable of lasting longer than a few seconds against me, as I am now. Whoa, so then, if I'm good at this training, I'll be as strong as you are soon? I suspect as much, yes. Awesome! Haha, you hear that, Fred? I'm gonna be. Of course, I am not using my Zoma. I'm moving at a fraction of my usual speed, and I am barely even putting any strength at all behind my blows. So strong. Oh yes, you will be strong enough to take on the line in a few decades at this pace. Do keep it up. All of that bountiful wind is now completely gone from your sails, and that brief moment of optimistic respite has faded, leaving you lying dead in the water. Fred jogs up over and gives you a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Hey, don't let it get to you, man. Bruce is just being... Bruce. Just, pay attention to what he's saying and heed his advice. And remember, the objective here isn't to fully train up to a level like mine. He's just here to give you a foundation to build up from, on your own. So, don't get all sad when you don't walk out of here an expert at the end of all of this, okay? Modak, whom you've only just now noticed, has also come over to check up on you again. Ponders for a moment before putting his hand up on his chin like Bruce does. Does he even have a chin? So, basically, the objective is for us to learn how to learn, so that we can learn better? I suppose so, yes. Oh, then that makes sense. Modak applauds with joy. No, it doesn't, though. Why are these people so confusing? Either way, the shepherd is right. Though the process will be very slow and time is of the essence, you cannot progress forward without this vital foundation. Even the explanations, as basic as they may seem, only briefly summarize what will manifest after months and years of training. And of course, no amount of sparring will ever fully prepare you. Only once you face death itself head to head and come out on the other side victorious will you ever realize the true importance of all of what I am teaching you here. It is nothing to be ashamed of either. You are not the first to let yourself think that the time that we are spending here is wasted. For whatever reason, the shepherd thought similarly at first, and... You glance over at Fred, noticing his eyes have drifted to the ground, with a somber frown painted across his muzzle. He had to learn the hard way as well. I think I get it. Good. All right, back in position. We're going to work on your balance first. On my way. With another deep breath, you get back into position, putting your arms up once more. The rest of the day was spent in a similar loop. Bruce would kick your ass, all the while shouting at you about everything slightly wrong that he could see about you. Your posture, your speed, the way your feet move, the way you throw your punches, everything. Throughout it all, you did your best to try and heed his advice, powering through the gradually mounting aches and pains. Eventually, the sun started to dip below the horizon, and Bruce calls it there. You aren't entirely sure if you had actually made any real progress, and, even though you try to gauge Bruce's expression to see what he thinks, it's impossible to read. As you head back down the mountain after saying goodbye to Moffat, your mind wanders, but not back to Toto. Instead, something Bruce mentioned early on had stuck with you. He said that you had effectively zero real combat experience, right? And you never got into any fights when you were in high school, right? You were so scrawny and your hands would have probably shattered if you tried to punch anybody. So then, why? Why does fighting feel so familiar? Before you and Fred parted ways with Jenny this morning, you had promised to meet up on the park's bridge in the evening. Even considering Jenny's aggressively bipolar nature, it was still a shock to see her so excited to meet up for dinner after how angry she was that morning. Either way, you and Fred both agreed wholeheartedly that missing this meeting would result in a tragic, painful death, so you both were eager to make it there, not a single second past your agreed-upon meeting time of 6. So, despite your aching body and exhausted muscles, you both hustle as best as you can back down the mountain, planning to exit somewhere else so that you can come in through the park's regular entrance, as opposed to just bursting out of the tree line, potentially right in front of Jenny. Fred flashes his phone back at you, a relieved grin on his face as you both approach the park's front gate, with 4 minutes to spare. The park is still fairly busy, considering it's not that late. The guy who sold you Anthonier magic elixirs a while ago still has his shop set up nearby, and you greet each other as you pass. Although you can't help but wonder if he'd gotten any business from the poor cat since that morning. Maybe he's seen a side of a friendly Dusan you haven't seen. Hey, quit spacing out and let's go, unless you want Jenny to vaporize one of your ass cheeks. No, I'm good, actually. Let's go. With Fred snickering smugly to himself, you both head into the park and make your way towards the bridge. Once you make it to the lake, you're able to spot Jenny leaning on the railing in the center of the bridge, though she's facing the other direction. Oop, target acquired. Stay close, I have an idea. I hope that idea doesn't include shoving me into the lake again. Please. He pauses for a moment, sniffing the air. Gradually, he turns around and steps closer to you until he's basically got his nose pressed to your neck, still sniffing. Did it just get hotter in here? Your face is red. Fred? What are you? Nah, we're good. Mothic barely touched you today, and with all that fighting, you mostly smell regular old sweaty musky, as opposed to Mothic musky. I think we'll be okay. I don't know what to feel about how you looked when your conclusion was that I stink of sweat. He shrugs exaggeratedly. You can only sign a response. What a weird creature. Whatever, I'll trust you for now. As you should. Good boy. He flashes a thumbs up, then scurries off towards the bridge, leaving you in the dust, and your face is now even more red. Well, hey, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Don't ignore me, Fred. What the hell? You chase after him, still shouting. You manage to catch up with him at the edge of the bridge, but he shushes you and flicks his head towards Jenny. She's got a surprisingly somber, introspective look on her face that looks almost alien on her. She's staring out over the lake, admiring the view of the lights shimmering on the surface of the water. A bag rests at her feet, presumably carrying the food that she's eager to share with you and Fred. Despite a sudden sinking feeling that she's upset over something, Fred puts a finger on his lips, then carefully begins to sneak his way up the bridge. As he gets closer, he begins to lift his arms up like some cartoon monster, a big grin growing on his face until he's right up behind her and... Boo! He slams his hands down on Jenny's shoulders as he shouts. In a flash of movement, Jenny grabs one of Fred's hands, spins around and cuts his feet out from under him, shoving his face first into the railing. She pins his arms behind him and uses her other hand to hold him down by the neck. I knew you bastards were... Ow, Journey, it's me. It's me, calm down. Fred? Wow, that was impressive. Oh, this? Easy peasy. She wears a proud grin, winking and giving a thumbs up at you, all the while continuing to hold Fred down with her other hand. You must have had a good teacher. That hole looks professional. I never knew that you could do something like that. Oh, Chad, please. There's a lot that you don't know about me. The way that you said that makes it sound like a threat. Should I be afraid? Or are you going to hold me down like that as well? She shrugs and puts more pressure on Fred's arm, causing him to whine and struggle against her. In my defense, he knows better than to try and scare me. Honestly, this is so obvious. I'd almost assumed that he wanted to wind up like this. I really thought that this time I could— Ow! Trying to scare an innocent bunny, you little bitch. Her voice echoes out across the park, drawing in a bit of attention from other people who are still out. It doesn't seem to bother her though, if that maniacal grin on her face is any indication. Psst, innocent? Ow, ow, ow. Who's your mommy, huh? Huh? She continues to apply more force to her grip. You are... She holds it for a moment longer, then releases him in an instant, very proud of this result. Good. Fred slowly stands back up, tending to his assaulted arm with the winds while Jenny pockets her, tases her again, and crosses her arms confidently. Maybe now you'll think twice before. Fred, with a semi-serious, I think, look on his face, turns around and punches Jenny in the shoulder with his middle finger's knuckle extended, seemingly nailing her right on a nerve. Ow, you bitch! Ah, I hate this. Hate this so much. Make it stop. Jenny rubs at her shoulder, an unreadable expression on her face as she processes the unusual pain. You started it. Bitch, you're Delulu. You started it. Then, before your very eyes, they begin to slap fight, like children. Is this like a normal thing between you two? Oh yeah, totally. Been doing this for like 10 years now. They continue to flail at each other, even while answering your question. So, shouldn't you, stop them? So what's in the bag? The fight almost immediately stops, though Jenny delivers one last powerful slap to Fred's hand before walking over to the bag. That apparently makes her the victor of whatever the hell that was. Oh, I got us some burgers from school. Seriously? Wait, really? Yeah. I didn't think that you were serious. Item 1 on page 1 of the massive list of Jenny rules is that the more nonsensical and ridiculous it sounds, the more serious blah blah blah. What say we make good use of the light we have left and enjoy these on the lookout, hmm? Hell yeah, I'm starving, and I've never had those before, so I'm definitely in. That's the spirit, muscle doby boy. You follow Jenny across the bridge and up the hill as she trots off with your food. Can't really say no to free food, I suppose. Fred follows you both shortly afterwards. Once you reach the lookout, you find a bench with a nice view and claim it for yourselves. Jenny, like a cool kid that she is, opts to sit on the backrest, dropping the bag in between her feet on the seat. She reaches in, grabbing a few and handing one each to you and Fred, as you both take your seats, you in the middle and Fred on the opposite side from Jenny. Whoever the fuck said that school food sucks must be out of their minds. Or they just haven't met our school's kitchen queens. Wait, they're still there? I mean, yeah, it's a small town, Chad. Someone could open up a lemonade stand at age 8 and die behind the counter of the town's largest running, most well-known lemonade cafe 70 years later. Which is to say people rarely move once they plant their roots. I mean, I sure have moved from job to job. Yeah, Fred, but I was talking about the people whom that applies to. You're clearly not one. Fair enough. They both shrug, then resume silently eating their burgers. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? No, not at all. I wasn't really talking about them switching jobs anyway. More just the fact that they were already super old when I was going to school. I would have figured that after a decade, they have retired or something. Ooh, I'm definitely telling them that you said that. Jenny, please don't. Oh, right. I'm stupid. My apologies, muscle doby boy. It's okay. I'm just really rather not have to go around announcing my return to everybody in Marimambo who remembers me. It sounds exhausting, and beyond that, I'm not too big of a fan of going deep into it, so. Well, I've known about your situation for a long time now, Chad. And Fred and I also had a long talk when you came back. But don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Ah, so I guess Fred's already told you everything then? Yeah, but don't go getting your panties in a bunch over it. It wasn't that hard to find out for myself. Don't forget, I started going to that school the very next year. The wounds were still fresh and people were still talking. It was basically impossible for me not to hear about it. And after I met Fred, it was pretty obvious to see that he was a hot mess. I doubt anybody would have been able to make friends with him without it coming up. Stuff like that scars you for life, dude. Not that I mean it in any negative way. I was happy to be there for him. My point is, though, it came out naturally, so don't get pissed at Fred for sharing. Yeah, if it wasn't for Jenny, I'd. Jenny interrupts him with another burger. Thanks. Whatever message that sudden burger was meant to convey, it came across successfully, and Fred shuts up, taking a bite of this new one. So then, why are you helping us? Or rather, helping me? Well, Fred's my best friend, you know? I'd do anything for him, and I know that he'd do anything for me. That alone is enough reason for me. We've been through a lot together. Stuff like this ain't anything special. And with how much you clearly mean to him, well, it's basically a no-brainer. I see. Well, still, thank you. Whether you realize it or not, you've done so much for me already. Not only did you give me a job, but you also gave me a place to stay, and for that Oh yeah, that. I've been meaning to bring that up. Things have been so busy, and you guys are always off doing God knows what, so I haven't really had a chance to talk about it with you. About what? Don't tell me that you're about to kick me out or fire me. To your horror, Jenny stops and stares at you with a somber smile for a moment. As monstrously hilarious as the timing would be, no, you idiot. I'm not about to throw you out on the street. Quit being such a pessimist. Then quit staring at me with such a sad look in your eyes. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that despite everything that I just said about doing anything for old Fred boy, I'm not an idiot either. Sure, you're like the first people in almost a decade to go up there, so it's all grungy and falling apart. And sure, there's no way that I could ever hope to rent it out to the public. And sure, I'd never have a personal use for it. But keeping the lights on and the water running still costs money, you know? So, in exchange for gradually fixing it up, an itty bitty tiny weensy little bit of a rent, just a smidge, pure pennies. It's basically theft, honestly. I may or may not be letting Fred rent it out so that you can live there indefinitely. Maybe, possibly, potentially, a bit. What? What? Why am I just now hearing about this? You shift your attention over to Fred, perhaps coming off a bit more accusatory than you meant to, as you shout your disbelief in his direction. Yeah, I, I didn't really feel like it was my place to make the announcement. I mean, you're the one renting it. Yeah, but it's your place, so I figured that you should be the one to declare it and make it official. Didn't want to presume or anything. Okay, but like, why though? You're literally the one renting it, my dude. Why on earth would that not give you permission to talk about it? I guess I. Okay, maybe I'm just fucking stupid. Wait, hold on. Back up. You're renting a place. Don't you already have a house? Yeah, but I'm not renting it for me. This is all for you, buddy. I... I don't want to be a burden on you, though. That turns mooching off one person into mooching off two people. As appreciative as I am, I can't possibly do that to you. I'll start looking for a place of my own, so... Chad, stop. Let's be real for a second. It's been a busy few weeks. A lot of shit has been going on, and it's definitely not over yet. Even assuming all this crap with Dusan didn't happen, I doubt that you were planning on staying with Kathy for much longer anyway. Now, you don't have to worry about it anymore, so have a solid place to stay. I know you've been struggling for a long time, months, maybe even years, and it's all probably my fault. This isn't charity work, it's not out of pity, and it's certainly not some selfish material attempt to get you to forgive me. We're only doing this because we care about you. I really care about you, Chad. If there's anything that I can help you with, I will. And not just because I think I owe you something, even though I definitely do. I want to do this because, from my very core, I want to help my best friend. I've said it over and over at this point, like a damn broken record, but I repeat myself because I mean it. You were there for me, so now it's my turn to be there for you, and I promise I will be always. It's a lot. They've done so much for you, and what have you done in return? Your mind scrambles to find an answer, but the null response it comes up with makes your heart ache. It creates a confusing cocktail in your head. What could you possibly ever do? It feels like you're stuck in a cycle of being catered to with no way out. You don't have any money, and you can't even protect them when they're so busy protecting you. Your very nature demands that you do something, but no matter how hard you think, nothing but saying thank you comes up as a way to pay them back. It tears you apart inside. Your fist clenches in your lap as you look away, confusion and guilt stealing your words as your friends look on with somber smiles. Here. She slips her hand into her pocket, which rattles noisily, almost like they're full of random junk. Eventually, after a bit of digging, she pulls out a set of keys attached to a cute little keychain, holding them out to you with a big, warm grin. I made a copy, just for you. Enjoy your new place! Hopefully this is big enough to remove some of the titanic weight from your shoulders, muscle doby boy! Your face reddening and tears threatening to pour from your eyes. You shyly lift your hand towards her, and she plops the keychain into your palm. Thank you guys. Honestly. Thank you. Thank you so much. You grip the keychain firmly, holding it close to your chest. It seems to radiate a comfortable warmth in your grasp, a warmth that spreads to your heart effortlessly. You resolve yourself to cling to this warmth and the kindness that brought it along with every fiber of your being. It's been so hard from the moment that you made it home on that fateful day 10 years ago, all the way to right now. It's been so damn hard, but it's finally time for you to face the fact that you aren't dealing with this alone. Having someone to have your back really makes a difference, don't you think? We got you, fam. You can trust us, buddy. The sun sinks below the horizon, banishing all the artificial light lining the park's path from the world, yet things feel bright and warm. Fred's hand affectionately lands on your leg, while Jenny gives your shoulder a reassuring pat. There's no way that I'll ever be able to properly thank you guys. But I'll be sure to do my best to repay you for all of this one day. I promise. Fred and Jenny smile and nod in unison, and things go quiet as you finish your burgers in a comfortable silence. As the cafe comes back into view, Jenny rushes ahead of you, stopping in front of it and posing triumphantly. Alrighty, you ready to make it official? You got 3 keys on that ring that I gave you. 1 for the back door, 1 for your apartment inside, and then 1 for the front door. That also makes your employment super duper official now, so don't go losing it. And now, without further ado, stick that sucker in there and let this door know who's boss. Hell yeah. Get ready, door. You're gonna have to deal with me for a long time. Your heart flutters giddily as you approach the door, new keys in hand. Wait! Her sudden shout makes you jump, nearly dropping the keys, When you look back towards her, she's moved back a bit and is now holding up her phone. Gah, what? She peers at you from behind her phone, massive toothy grin fully on display as she motions for you to keep going. Just go with it, Chad. She's a big fan of recording important moments. Well, sorry, I like to keep record of all my precious memories. It's like Big Granny Bunny used to say, your memories define you and your legacy. I'm making sure that legacy lasts, damn it. So you already know that you're gonna go senile? So you already know that you're gonna go senile? Shut up, Fred. Jenny repeats what Fred just said in a mocking tone, then glares at him, all the while Fred laughs to himself, shaking his head. Anyway, no more distractions, open the door already, and make sure that you give the camera a big smile and say, screw homelessness, or something. Camera's rolling, Chad. Come on. Leave it to Jenny to make something as simple as opening a door embarrassing. You let out a soft sigh and finally start to insert the key into the lock. As you do, though, you can faintly make out some strange noises on the other side. Huh? As soon as the key touches the lock, the door swings open. There was a moment of silence as all three of you look on in confusion, the dark interior of the cafe suddenly feeling incredibly intimidating. Still, something compels you to enter. Men in black suits stand scattered around the cafe. They're nearly impossible to make out in the dark, but once your eyes adjust, you can tell that they've been busy. Tables and chairs lay scattered and broken in piles on the floor. Boxes full of equipment and tools have been shredded and destroyed. The only thing left intact are the bar and a single chair seated in front of it, both seemingly left in one piece solely for the comfort of one person. It's about time you showed up. I'm a busy man, you know. Your blood flashes to a boil in your veins as you recognize the lion seated smugly at the bar, staring back at you with the most punchable expression a man can ever wear. Behind you, Jenny and Fred squeeze inside to see what the deal is with your deafening silence. What's wrong? Her voice peters out as she processes the sight before her. Her arms fall to her side as her ears droop, her eyes wide and face contorted into a confused gawk. Fred, however, has his gaze firmly locked on Dusan, just like you. Ah, my shadow. Good to know that I found the right place. You really should focus more on locking your own door instead of following me around. I do. The door is always locked. Filthy scum finds its way in otherwise. Well, it's unfortunate that you seem to have forgotten this time. Oh, well. I wanted to send my regards. Having such an eager fan is rare these days. I thought maybe a gift basket or some wine would help celebrate the occasion. But well, when we arrived, I realized that such niceties wouldn't match the aesthetic. It's such a shame. It really looked like this place was coming together. Accidents happen, I suppose. Accident? Oh, sweetie, this wasn't an accident. That douchey haircut of yours, though? God, I hope so. The only thing more tragic would be if it was intentional. But surely, nobody would ever willingly look like they were only half committed to being a crappy anime character, while still somehow think that it makes them look cool. Well, you certainly have no creativity. I can think of much more tragic things. For example, take your poor family, walking the streets to make a living for you. We know that accidents like this happen all over Marimambo. I wouldn't be surprised if your parents' farm is next. You motherfuck... Jenny. Fred grabs her shoulder and stops her, putting himself in between her and Dusan, all the while your anger kept mounting and mounting and mounting. Dusan finally stands, letting out a long, exasperated sigh. Let my presence here be a lesson. You are not sly. You are not creative. You are not sneaky. I know you've been tailing me, trying to stick your filthy noses into places that they don't belong. Clearly you have no fucking idea who you are messing with. So let me spell it out for you. Nice and simple. I do not like people messing with my business. If you can't mind your own, then I have to mind it for you. And we certainly wouldn't want that now, would we? Because when I mind other people's business, things happen. Certain things like, oh, I don't know, your brother suddenly picking up a cool new drug and winding up on the bad side of the wrong people. Or perhaps the shepherd's mother accidentally pricking herself with a needle that has the wrong medicine in it. Maybe the abnormal's father getting accused of do it. Your interruption actually catches Dusan off guard, and he stares at you in stunned silence for a moment. I couldn't give less of a shit about my father, so go on, do it. Make yourself feel like a big, tough man by ruining the lives of people around you because you aren't getting your way. You know, like real adults. 1 whole decade and you still haven't made your peace. That'd be impressive if it wasn't so sad. Oh, now you're the expert on happy family life, huh? Yeah, sure. Keep fucking talking. I'm dying to hear what's next. Oh, do I have your permission? Then I would gladly take you up on that offer. Because you can glare at me and clench your fist all you want, but it doesn't change the fact that you aren't going to do shit. And just because you are determined to die alone and full of regret, doesn't mean that applies to everyone. So, for their sake, what do you say that we make a little agreement? This Sunday, I have plans to take my lovely family for a nice walk in the park. Say, around noon. We're going to have a picnic, enjoy the breeze and the sunshine, and just relax. And hey, since I'm such a nice guy, you guys are all invited. And to really sweeten the deal, I'll even let you bring a +1. Oh, but then again, you don't really have any friends to bring. Well, save for the hooded tiger, that is. He'll probably be your best bet, actually. I bet that he'd avoid any accidents from happening that day, to Thony and Kathy specifically. By now, his words have stopped reaching your ears. Your fists are clenched as tight as your muscles will allow. A growl rumbles from deep within your chest as you bare your teeth at him, taking a step towards him. Up. Easy there at normal. Your family outing isn't until Sunday, but that doesn't mean accidents can't happen before then. Fred grabs your shoulder, standing at your side and staring directly into your eyes. It's enough to bring you to your senses, and it's also a reminder that this isn't how Dusan is supposed to be, but the rage still boils within you. Ah, at least one of you understands the situation that you're in. You bite your tongue as he smirks down at you. You're fighting with every fiber of your being to not lunge at him and tear him a new asshole on the spot. Jenny and Dusan's men seeing your Zoma be damned. One of his men approaches him, leaning in and whispering something into his ear before handing something over. Oh, right. Thank you for reminding me. Here at Normal, you left your trash in my home while you were taking advantage of my wife's generosity. He extends his hand out to you, and his palm rests the framed picture of you and Fred that you've been holding onto for a while. Fred's eyes go wide as he recognizes it. You carefully close the distance to take the frame, but the moment that you close, Dusan's hand clamps shut, noisily crushing the frame and photo in his palm. Your hand drops back down to your side as his fingers open back up, dumping the scattered fragments of the frame and shredded photo to the ground. Anyway, that should wrap things up. Let's get out of this dump. His men nod, slowly funneling out past you, but Dusan being the last one to leave, making sure to bump your shoulder with his as he passes. However, he stops before he crosses the threshold. Oh, by the way, being granted a business license in Marimambo is contingent on having a fully functional, in-operation establishment. As part of the legal definition of in-operation, the establishment must meet a certain janitorial and presentation standard, which this pile of rubble clearly does not meet. Honestly, it's a disgrace to the real, hard-working businesses owned in Marimambo. So for their sake, unless you can get this place fixed up by the end of the week, I'm afraid that your application for a license won't make it through. And, let's be honest, you'll need good luck to keep the lights on in here without any income. Oh, screw that. That's bull and you know it. Ignoring her, Dusan crosses her arms, smugly raising an eyebrow as he scans the building behind you. Now that I think about it, Though the place looks pretty old, especially with the bills going unpaid. It could collapse at any moment. I'm sure that if the mayor got a good look at this place, he'd be more than eager to tear it down, as a matter of public safety, of course. But maybe I could be convinced to overlook all of that and even put in a good word for you. That way, he can assure that your license application actually has a chance. That is, assuming you actually show up on Sunday, and I am not opposed to being bribed. With a tiger, perhaps. I'll continue to take care of Kathy and Thony, but the kid's got the sniffles, so he's probably going to be absent from school until then. I'll look forward to your attendance at my little get-together, Chad. And with that, he leaves. It only takes a few moments for his footsteps to fade into the night, leaving you all to process in deathly silence. Your muscles are still shaking from how tense they are. Almost thoughtlessly, you reach down and pluck the tattered, crumbled photo from the small pile of debris that was once a photo frame on the floor. It takes some work, but you manage to mostly unfurl it, but the damage has been done. Looking down at this photo has filled you with such an intense, swirling cacophony of emotions, but now you don't feel much of anything. Well, much of anything beyond hate, that is. Hatred for the man who knew exactly what he was taking from you when he crushed that frame, and he had the gall to revel in it. It quickly becomes overbearing, and in a desperate attempt to relieve yourself of that pressure, you hastily stuff it into your pocket. The world around you finally begins registering again, hitting you like a flashbang. The cafe, the tools, the material, the counter, the chairs, everything is destroyed beyond repair. You attempt to take slow, deep breaths to calm yourself down, but as the anger subsides, the guilt creeps in its stead. She had done so much for you. She's given so much. A job, a home, and because of you, everything she had worked so hard for is now destroyed. I'm sorry, Jenny. No, Chad. Don't be. I've been through shit like this before, so I knew exactly what I was getting into. Which is exactly why we have this. She holds her phone, tapping it a moment later. Well, you certainly have no creativity. I can think of much more tragic things. For example, take your poor family, walking the streets to make a living for you. We know that accidents like this happen all over Marimambo. I wouldn't be surprised if your parents' farm is next. What? How did you? Your heart jumps a little in your chest as you realize what this means. You might still have the upper hand. That's why I stepped in front of her. I was worried that they'd notice her recording. That's awesome. But upper hand for what? Yeah. She lets out a deep, defeated sigh, crouching down and burying her face in her hands. Fred kneels down next to Jenny and wraps her up in a protective, gentle hug. That small action breaks what was left of her facade, and slowly you begin to hear quiet sobs from behind her hands. The guilt sweeps back in like a storm, and you're unable to shake the feeling that this is all your fault. You join Fred and Jenny on the floor, doing your best to comfort her by rubbing her back. It's the best that you can do, although you're glad that they aren't really paying attention to you, because the expression you're making must be awful. Not only did you get Jenny's cafe thrashed, but now Kathy and Thony are in even more danger. And for what? God damn it. Fred squeezes her close, lightly stroking the back of her head as she sobs. It's a familiar gesture, one that you've felt numerous times before. You know its meaning all too well. I've got you. This is probably not the first time that Fred's done this for her, either, as it seems to soothe her. Gradually her sobbing begins to quiet down. There. There's no need to be upset. It wasn't a total loss. You totally roasted him in front of his own man. Pretty sure that I saw one stifle a laugh. To your surprise, Jenny goes quiet, slowly pulling her face back up out of her hands. I sure did, didn't I? You sure did, girl. I would have kept going to, but somebody decided to stop me. Oh, believe me, I know you would have, but they would have noticed your phone. Yeah, I guess. Either way, now that those guys are going to be talking about it, and it'll spread like wildfire. Here's hoping that his subordinates start seeing him as a joke too. Fred nods, getting back up to his feet and extending his hand down for Jenny. You mirror his action, putting on your best smile down at the flustered bunny. She does her best to return to, taking both your hands and allowing you both to lift her back up. Thanks, guys. I don't know what I would have done if you weren't here. I doubt that he would have hurt you. He's clearly got an ulterior motive, and even though his haircut is stupid, he isn't. He's fully aware how valuable a bargaining chip hostages can be. No doubt that he knows that. If he hurts you, all bets would be off. He's fucking lucky the bet is still on as it is. Yeah. Sorry to randomly switch the topic like this, but something's been bothering me. How did he know that we would be out all day today? It's not like I have a routine or anything. You're absolutely sure that you haven't been following any set patterns? Yeah, I made sure to mix up my following patterns and sporadically return home every now and again to throw off the scent. Nobody should even know that I was following him. Yeah. The thing is, Dusan's a powerful man. It's not hard to believe that he has eyes and ears everywhere. And I genuinely mean no offense by this, but there's no way that your sleuthing skills could have matched up to men whose jobs are, to be sneaky. Don't worry, none taken. I guess I got a little too excited and let it go to my head. Nah, you don't get to go and start putting yourself down now. You still did a good job, and what you provided to us was invaluable. That being said, I think it's time that I officially say that you need to sit the rest of this out. Chad and I will handle it from here. What are you guys going to do? We'll make him come to his senses. She stares at you both for a moment, completely baffled. When the looks of confidence on your faces don't convince her, she gestures at the rubble that is a cafe, then keeps staring. Look, the reason why he's being such a dick is because that hooded tiger guy that he wants to meet stole something important from him, and he thinks Kathy and Tony helped him steal it. What? Combine that with the stress from his job and the average life of a busy adult and, well, you get this. We're just gonna get him to come to his senses. Don't worry, we have a pretty good idea of what to do. I guess, but to go so far as to take it out on his own family? You and I both know that people have become shitty parents for far less of a reason before. Yeah. Well, there's no way that I can trust you two idiots to handle that by yourselves. I'll leave taking care of Dusan up to you. But kids and scared mothers require a more feminine touch. Wait, Jenny. Seriously, it's okay. This isn't how it usually is. You really don't have to. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed the part of our relationship that convinced you that I would ever leave you hanging like that. Please, enlighten me. Fred flinches, taking a moment to process before taking a deep breath. You're right. Sorry. And Chad? You don't get to worry about me either. Trust me. I've seen all this before. These people let a little bit of power go to their heads, and they think that they can always get their way with just a little bit of threatening and manipulation. But I decided a long time ago that I'm never gonna let anyone else control me like that, no matter how much they threaten me. And because of that, I'm deciding right now that I'm going to stand by you and Fred. Even after all of this, especially after all of this. And don't worry about anybody else either. I'm certainly not. My brother and Rosa know how to handle themselves just fine. But that's only because I'm putting my faith in you guys. That trust had better not be misplaced. Of course it isn't. We've been doing our work regarding Dusan, and now we have plenty of stuff to use against him. We'll definitely make him return to his senses. Good. She smirks at you, but that smirk fades away as she scans back over the cafe one more time. She takes a slow, deep breath. Anyways, you guys should probably just go and get some rest. I'll, go have a talk with Henry, my guy from the hardware store, and tell him everything that came in from the factory is all messed up. I'll have it replaced in no time. She said it playfully, but her voice definitely cracked as she said it. Anyways, I probably should go now. I'll clean this up tomorrow. So, good night, guys. Before you have a chance to say anything else, she turns and rushes out of the cafe, but not before spending a long time at the lock to make sure that it is definitely locked this time. Wait, Jenny. Chad. Yeah. Just let her be for now. She needs time to process all of this. But she just looked like she... I know. Just trust me. This is how she deals with things. We can be there for her when she needs it, but sometimes she just needs to be alone. She'll probably take some time to process, vent a little bit, then she'll be back to the regular Jenny before you know it. I see. Fred's words should have been enough to calm you down, but as the silence creeps back in, your mind starts to wander again, and, as it does, it inevitably finds the guilt once more. But she shouldn't have had to go through that. If it wasn't for me, none of this would have happened. All of this is my shit, not hers. I'm so sick of other people taking blows from me. I've got to take responsibility for all of this. Chad, it's not... We're gonna make this happen, Fred. I don't care that we only have a few days left now. I'm going to get strong enough by then, and I'm going to beat the shit out of him. He's gonna pay, and that will be my first step to paying you both back for all that you've done for me. All right. I wonder what you'd say if you could see the look in your eye. To be continued. Ooh. Dusan was bound to show up sooner or later. So, admittedly, it feels like the pace of the visual novel has changed a little. Jaden. Ato. Fair. I kind of like the pace now. But yeah, so I'm curious to see what Dusan has in mind, and if this is setting up like I guess, well, the next encounter between Chad and Dusan, and if it's going to be successful or if it's going to end in failure again. One would hope that it would be successful. Also, a little, well, not backstory, but a little bit of extra info for Jenny in a way. Like, we get to know that her family owns a farm, that apparently she has we already knew that she had a brother. Because in Chad's flashback, when he met Fred at school, we saw the bunny that looked like Jenny, like a gender bent Jenny, but that I guess is her brother, the older brother, I guess. But yeah, I'm wondering if Dusan has other people on the side that are doing his snooping, or if there's other people. Well, yeah, like other people on the side doing the snooping, but like if they also have Zomas, or if they're just, not bodyguards, but they're people that work for him. Yeah, I also would like to know the extent of what Dusan does, like work related. Why does he have so much power to influence decisions? I mean, I suppose if you're a government employee, well, not even a government employee, you're like a local government employee. How much power would you have to actually get somebody's business license to not go through? What is his real, what does he do in, what is his work, whatever? Does it have to do with why he became bad? That was always my initial thought when he actually like appeared. That well, even before that I thought like maybe he's a mob boss or something, because it kind of looks like Kathy needs protection from her husband. And it was giving me like mob family vibes, and like Kathy wanted Chad to get rid of him or something. um yeah, what else? Poor Jenny. The bar's trashed. I wonder if these guys as Zomas could, help in trying to fix it a little. If that's possible. Um, didn't Fred have another job like that he was supposed to be going to? I know he's paying for the rent in order for Chad to be able to stay above the bar. Um, but like it doesn't seem like he goes to work. Unless he does it like, well, no, not even night stuff because he stays with Chad. Hmm. Hmm. What else? Well, yeah, I guess the next part for chapter 3 will be the confrontation with Dusan. So I guess we'll have to see that. But yeah, anyways, so write down in the comments what you think so far, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Home Somewhere Else yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description for the Twitter page for Home Somewhere Else, which should have a direct link where you can download Home Somewhere Else from itch.io. If not, then just go to itch.io and download it from there. I will also post a link down for their Patreon where you can subscribe and get early access to builds of Home Somewhere Else before everyone else does. And you also get, access to the extra content, which I'm pretty sure is not available yet. The stories somewhere else and stuff. But yeah, subscribe. It'll let Zordy and the team know that you guys like the story and that you want to support him, obviously. Also, I will post a link down for my coffee down there, in case you want to donate to me again. It will be greatly appreciated. Come on, you guys are enjoying the Soul Creek episodes. Give me money again. No, but seriously, you don't have to. Unless you really want to. Do you want to? Anyways, but yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.